Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Chaotic Angel here, bringing back to you guys another Defiance video, talking about basically the side missions that have been listed throughout Defiance in the terms of whether they're actually viable to do, what you get out of them, if they're actually worth wasting time putting into them, yada yada yada. So basically, if you haven't already noticed what these side missions are, if I click my map here, you're going to see a list of side missions. You can see these little arrow things here because I've already played through these side missions, but basically, there will be a few assigned missions listed throughout the map of Defiance, and basically what these missions allow you to do is that they actually allow you to access a separate story that will actually be able to be played on its own storyline within this mission set. And why the hell... Wait, seriously? Why is that jet engine trying to activate while I'm in the middle of recording? Okay. Now that that's out of the way, let's walk over here. So basically, these missions allow you to do various things within this mission set storyline that you have to do. You have to go find data recorders, kill this many, well, not really kill this many guys, it's more like go find data recorders, go round up enough information in order to be able to be processed to find so and such, and then once you find him, you either have to face him or save him, or then basically it ties together in this whole weird storyline thing. So it's actually quite cool in terms of storyline. So in the sense that if you're really looking for an interesting storyline, I definitely recommend playing those. But in the terms of people that aren't looking for a so-called interesting storyline, there's only a very few that I would suggest kind of playing here and there. I remember, I think it was this one, the Relay Season 2 Prologue is definitely, I think, one worth playing. The one where you end up playing with Nolan himself, and basically you have to help him with a job he's on and whatnot to get this artifact and this, that, and the other thing, and then afterwards, spoiler alert, he ends up double-crossing you, and then he ends up leaving with the artifact. But he ends up giving you a really nice gun. He gives me, I believe when I ran it, he gave me, where is it? No, I'm not going to be able to find it. He gave me this, the EMC XAR-22. Now basically it does 1,000 damage, 12 fire rate, 47 magazine size, 2.1 reload, 1.6 crit multiplier, and the bloom is 0.25. Of course it has no extra stats or anything with the synergy, but overall it's a really good gun. It's fully automatic too, so it's really, really nice. And you can run these missions at any level. It just determines on which level you run will determine basically how much damage or what ego level the gun's going to be. So it will determine the damage and the stats of the overall gun. So it's definitely something to keep into consideration. But what's nice about it is that you can rerun it, but I'm not too sure if rerunning the actual mission will get you the same gun or anything like that, so it's something I have to look into. But a furthermore aspect of this, basically, after you play through the mission storyline, you get various costumes as well as titles as well as weapons, and then a very interesting cutscenes that you get to see throughout the storyline. And what's really cool about it is that it's not go kill this, go kill that. It's more along the lines of, alright, I need you to find this data recorder so we can locate Nolan, or I need you to go help, or like you're chasing after some robbers with Nolan so he can find Marissa, which is his daughter. So it's actually quite interesting in the terms of like how the storyline kind of plays out, and it's actually very dramatic and very personal. Of course your character doesn't talk, but your character's in it. And what I like about the personal storylines throughout every mission you play, any weapon set you have or any costume set that you're currently wearing will be in that cutscene. So that is freaking really, really nice and really cool. But despite all of that, let's just jump into one right here. I'm going to do a replay mission here for this one that I think gives me the SMG. So you get the replay the Season 2 Prologue from the beginning. This will include Cardle to Grave, Stemma's Interest, Nolan's Return. By choosing to do this, all previous progress in the storyline will be lost, which is fine, because you won't lose any of the gear or any of the experience that you've earned throughout the storyline, which is really nice.
Has another contract available, and he's offering more than usual, which is suspicious.
So basically, once you accept the quest, you're going to get hit up by your ego, and then she's going to tell you the location, everything like that. And if you hit map or whatever, it'll give you a little star indicator that you're on the quest, and that basically that's where you can go. So it's an obvious like storyline kind of quest thing here and there, blah blah blah. I have a little bit more of these red things because I have DLCs, but I'll get into that like probably in another video. But right now I'm going to talk to this the ego chick here. She's going to tell me my rewards, this, that, and the other thing. I'm going to accept the quest, and she's going to give me a new location.
and I need an Ark Hunter to track down the medical history. He's a little famous. He's the first recorded human Votan hybrid. He's half Arathian. His name is William Paraba. I'm sending more information to your ego.
I'm putting the coordinates on our map.
So anyway, basically, you'll get those little cutscenes here and there. Well, not really cutscenes, but she'll come in and describe what the mission's about and whatnot.
The Votanus Collective had no interest in producing human Votan hybrids, but then two people fell in love and got married. Dr. and Mr. Paraba, William's parents. It was a very human impulse to decide to overcome their biological differences to produce a child. It wasn't easy since humans and Arathians are so different. After their success, though, we developed ways for other species to reproduce together.
You should have stayed home.
Interbred with humans led to quite a stir in the scientific community.
I've scanned the surrounding area. There are a few terminals we need to access.
The information in those terminals dates back to when Tranquility was a human Votan cohabitation community. If there is any data on William Paraba's origin, it can be found here.
Let's find the medical supplies. Watch out for the mutants along the way, though.
Okay, so now that she's done talking, she basically describes the background of how this mission set is gonna play out and whatnot, and this and that, which is quite interesting.
What was he doing here?
I'm greatly concerned if dark matter is involved. I don't know what interest they might have in Tranquility or the Paraba family.
One of the things that you should probably take into consideration is if you really don't like the storyline of some of this, like, these side missions here, I would not recommend playing them, because, like, if you're not a huge storyline person, in all honesty, I really wouldn't recommend playing much of them, because it is very heavily storyline intended. So definitely take that into consideration if you're not a huge storyline person and you want to run these missions, because they are not short within the storyline. They are very long in terms of running most of these missions. So it's definitely something to take into consideration. Well, they're not really long, but they're long enough to keep you entertained for at least a few hours. And there's like 4 or 5 of them, depending if you get, like, DLCs is even more. So it's definitely something to take into consideration of, basically, if you want to run these or not. But I gotta say, you get titles, you get outfits, you also get gear, so it's definitely worth, as well as XP, so it's definitely worth doing. And it's definitely a different, you get, like, a different variety of playstyle too, throughout all these missions, because you're not fighting the same, like, type of faction every single time. You're gonna fight someone different every single time.
We got him. Nice
and
work. Now let's get to the roof and see
running these missions actually changes most of the storyline itself. Like, no, I mean, running these missions actually changed the scenery itself, because you can see, like, there was some dark matter involved here, and that wouldn't actually be the case if I wasn't running this mission. You wouldn't only see, like, the infested here. So it's actually quite interesting, and I missed because my nose. But yeah, so it's quite interesting. It's something to keep in mind.
The Earth Republic team has arrived. Where'd they get those helicopters? Wait, those are mutants.
This is just the side missions that I'm picking up along the way here. I just gotta protect them or whatever. I'm just gonna run it because I'm already here. And plus, the quest, like, there's no time limit on the quest anyway, so I can just run it whenever. So it doesn't really matter. There we go. Do-do-do. Boom. Yep, so it's also nice too, because you can pick up on little missions along the way while running these main missions too. It's just a little annoying, because every time, if I open my map right now, you'll see that I have this huge, big-ass thing on the side of my map that you can get rid of by hitting escape, but every time I open my map it will be there, and every time you have a set of quest objective that's located on your map, it will actually direct your map to that quest objective, so it becomes really annoying very, very quickly. So you guys, basically what you want to do for that is just do the quest and then just like leave it alone if you don't want to continue running the story at the moment because you're too busy doing something else. But if you're like in the major arcfall or an incursion or something, you need the location, and you have to keep opening up your map, it becomes so annoying. There we go. Perfect.
You're unstoppable.
Alright, now we're going to go finish up this one little mission here. I'm not going to play through the entire thing, I'm just doing it to show you guys like basically how it gets played out a little bit, like how these missions go about being run in terms of storyline as well as like gameplay wise. The gameplay is pretty much all straightforward, but in terms of storyline it's unique in its own nature depending on which one you're running, like I've said like 1,000 times throughout this video. But anyway, let's grab that.
William's half-brother, but nothing from William. It looks like William's medical history has been erased, and it looks like it was done by dark matter. It's a long trip, but I need you to hit up the mainframes in their artillery base in San Francisco.
Well, got stuck.
If dark matter is involved, there may be more to William's illness than I first thought. Aura and Nim Shandu grew up in tranquility. Aura talks about it, sometimes. When I first became the doctor in Paradise, she had me test her for every conceivable disease. She said that her brother was obsessed with some kind of designer plague that came out of tranquility. I performed every analysis I could on her then, but I found nothing. I wish I'd had the opportunity to inspect her brother. He was supposed to be dead then, but he was just in hiding. You were instrumental in sorting out that confusion. Thank you.
Shit.
Your day's worse than mine.
So basically, what's interesting about these storylines too is I'm pretty sure, I don't actually watch the series of Defiance unfortunately, but I'm pretty sure that it intertwines with, like these storylines intertwine with the storylines within the show. Not very much, I don't think, but in terms of just like detail and whatnot, that like about certain characters and everything like that, it will intertwine in that aspect. So it's actually quite interesting to see that, like how like a game can be based off a show and how it can actually kind of like interact between the two. So it's interesting. And cleared that little spot out, got some free XP for that. Picking up that mod. I also finished the contract while doing that too, which is really nice. Alright, I'm going to run this last mission for you guys just so you guys can get a full extent of what's going on. And also, I also wanted to talk about the, let me just get over here and hop in the car real quick before I get jumped by these stupid infested zombie people. There we go, hop in my little freaking minivan of justice. Oh, let's get going. Basically, what I also wanted to talk about was the cutscenes. The cutscenes are actually really cool in the sense of how they go about, like doing it within each storyline, because there's not little information, but there's little things you can pick up on to determine like how the output of the show is actually going, or certain connections between characters that you haven't actually seen throughout the show. So it's actually quite interesting, and that like type of like way they go about things. So, in the terms of the show. Oh, no you don't, buddy. No you don't. Already got enough of this party to deal with. Nope. No you don't. You want to call for backup, buddy? Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll give you like a 5-minute head start. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Figured I'd mess around a little bit with this build since I haven't used it in like a really long time. Whoop, probably needs to be tweaked a bit, but whatever. It's doing just fine at the moment, so. Especially on these low level enemies. Oh, and in terms of difficulty level throughout each story mission, it really depends on which side mission that you're actually doing, because they do get progressively harder depending on which one you're doing and how long it's actually being run for. I know the ones with Nolan are actually very difficult, so that's because they make you run with Nolan and Maria to see to like get objectives done and whatnot. So anytime they send you off with other people and whatnot, it becomes a lot more difficult. So it's definitely something to take into consideration when you're running solo. I mean, it's probably a lot easier if you're running with a group, but like if you can't, I know a lot of missions and whatnot have difficulties in terms of like running with other people, so I recommend just trying to like do it in a way that like it won't, and just basically if you're running like missions with Nolan or anybody else in terms of the storyline missions, just stick with them and don't like get yourself killed. If you know you can solo, like I know I can solo pretty well with a lot of the builds that I have throughout my setup. Oh, excuse me. So I'm perfectly fine with that. But yeah, it's really not that too bad, not too difficult. And then you got this little thing here that tells you where to go. And then of course you can just port close to it. Of course, it doesn't tell you if you have to port or anything like that, or it just gives you like a set radar location. If I zoom out here on your mini map, well, actually it doesn't. So you kind of get. Oh yeah, it does. So you can see it over there. It's a set location. And don't wait in one area for too long because they'll all respawn. But that's just common Defiance shit. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it, guys. I'm not going to go too far into it because it is a really long type of storyline here. In terms of just getting to the first cutscene alone. But yeah, it's definitely something to look into. You got the gist of it. Basically, it's just go collect ounces of information so that way they can, so that way the NPC that you're running stuff for can process this information and then get basically either the supplies they need in order to do ABC, or to basically like to gather up enough information to find a location of another character, or just be like find enough information just basically to determine like where an object is or something. So it's really just in the terms of running a multiple quests and multiple missions in order to find ounces of information in order to get the next location for your overall mission. Usually that overall mission involves you taking on a boss or something like that, which is really cool because there are boss fights within some of these. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. It's a whole variation of like how the side missions go about and how I feel about the side missions. My overall opinion, though, to state about the side missions is that they're fun, they're enjoyable, they're a good storyline, they're entertaining. You get XP, you get outfits, you get titles that you can't obtain. You also get some other loot that you can't even obtain through just running normally. I know the titles and whatnot, the titles and outfits you won't be able to obtain. The loot maybe, but in terms of being able to do it like efficiently and whatnot, I definitely recommend running the storyline. Plus, you get achievements and everything like that, too. So it's definitely something to take into consideration, guys. Like, don't just run it to be like, oh, it's in my way, this, that, and the other thing, or whatnot. Just run it, you know, like, when you run it, enjoy it, you know, like, pay attention to the little details. Especially if you watch the show. Like, pay attention to, like, anytime you're running a story mission within the Defiance game itself, and you're one of those people that watch the series, like, every time it's on, this, that, and the other thing, code up on every episode and whatnot. Maybe you even go on the website to follow up on the next episode that hasn't even been released yet. Definitely pay attention to the small details within the storyline missions that you run in the game, because they're definitely little hints in terms of connections with characters and whatnot that you can't really pick up on the show. So it's definitely interesting, and it's definitely something to take into value, I guess, as I've said consideration far too many times throughout this video. But anyway, guys, that is pretty much it. I won't hold up on any more time, but if you did like the video, I hope you guys did. Leave a like, maybe a favorite, maybe subscribe if you feel like it, you know. I'm not saying anything, but it does help me out. But anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. My name's Scott Kingle. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Really helps out, and hope to see you guys real soon. Later.